Hello and welcome to our webinar in the INSPIRE Hackathon series of educational webinars. We are here today again, the second batch of webinars, and we would like to give people some time to get on. So we will start simply by doing a weather report. That's been a tradition now. So Raul, how is the weather in Poznan?
Yes, well, the weather is quite pleasant, I would say, about 23 degrees.
Sounds very pleasant indeed. And Arne-Jørgen, you are not in Norway, but you are in the US, in Florida. How is the weather in Florida?
Yes, well, it's Florida summer weather here, around 30 degrees, sunshine in the mornings, but actually with the tropical weather, it means rainstorms or thunder and lightning in the afternoon and evening. So it's like a divided day with a sunny morning and a wet afternoon and evening.
Entertainment in the evening, I can say.
Yeah, well, it's exciting light thunderstorms. They are quite violent, and we can from the window here watch the lightning striking down around us.
As long as it doesn't strike the house. Yeah.
Yes, yesterday actually the neighbor house caught fire. So yeah.
My goodness.
Oh, it did. Yeah, so the fire trucks and everyone was here. So that was interesting.
Okay. Interesting, yeah. Okay, so I guess it's less violent in the Czech Republic, or how is it, Karel? Unmute yourself, maybe, so we can hear.
Sorry, we have cloudy in Czech Republic, temperature something like 23, 25 degrees. So I expect rain will come soon.
Okay. Yeah, well, here in Norway, we have the warmth coming back. So it's around 20 degrees, I think, and but sunny. So it's a very nice day here in Norway as well. With that weather report done, I would like to start the webinar for real. So welcome to this webinar in the INSPIRE Hackathon series of educational webinars. Today, we will talk about smart points of interest and also dive into all the Earth observation data resources that we have in Europe. Well, maybe not all, but quite a bit of them. And of course, you will get the regular introduction to the INSPIRE Hackathon concept. Before we go through the program, I would like to introduce our experts today, and we will do a tour de table so that you can hear what their names are and what they're doing. So we start with you, Raul. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. So my name is Raul Palma. I am coming from Poznan Supercomputing and Networking Center in Poland. My main expertise is regarding the application of semantic web technologies in different domains. Of course, I am also involved in many other activities and projects related with big data, with HPC, because of the background of my organization. But my main, let's say, interest and expertise is in semantic web.
Great. We are looking forward to hear about the smart points of interest. And Arne-Jørgen, can you introduce yourself to the audience as well?
Yes, hello. My name is Arne-Jørgen Berre, working at SINTEF in Norway as a chief scientist. Also in the BDVA, Big Data Value Association, responsible for the technical priorities on big data. So covering everything from data management to data analytics and visualization and anonymization and privacy. So we have a number of groups, also now new groups on standardization and benchmarking on big data analytics and AI. I'm involved in the DataBio project that I will talk about today, which is one of the large-scale pilots in the big data part of the Horizon 2020.
Looking forward to hear more about that. And Karel, can you also introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Karel Charvat. I'm from Czech Republic, and I am godfather of INSPIRE Hackathon. My expertise is mainly in geographic information, open data, big data. I'm working about these topics from 83, so I have already a long career. I am involved in different research and standardization effort. I am co-chair of OGC Working Group for Agriculture for Europe. I am active in Research Data Alliance and other type of this activity, and I have large experiences from European projects, more than 70 years and more than 50 European projects. So some things which I will introduce about INSPIRE Hack are coming from these experiences.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to learn about that. And my name is Bente Lilja Bye. I'm hosting this webinar, and it's a great pleasure to do that. And also hosting the other webinars. This is part of my work, working on communication for both the next GEOSS project, one of the Horizon 2020 project building the European data hub and platform. I'm also a member of Plan4All, so the main organizers and initiator, I would say, of the INSPIRE Hackathon movement. And I have been involved in data management and Earth observations for a couple of decades as well. So I do have this knowledge background as well. And I still do some of that work. But today I'm your host, and I'm really excited to hear these presentations, to learn more about the SMART points of interest, and learn also about the Earth observations that we are having access to here in Europe. A little bit of housekeeping. We do have a chat possibility, so if you do have questions, please write them in the chat box, and I will read and follow, keep an eye on that, and take your questions to our experts. We will also have a Q&A towards the end if that is needed. But for now, I think we can go ahead and start to hear about SMART points of interest. Raul, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I will start my screen in a second. Okay.
Yes, and while you are preparing the screen, just so you know that we, the rest of us, we will disappear from the screen while Raul is doing his presentation, but we will be coming back, so don't worry.
Okay. Okay, can you see my presentation now?
Yes, we can, Raul.
Okay, good. So I will start with a bit of introduction and what was the goal of a working group that we have established for this INSPIRE Hackathon, with the goal of extending and enriching the SMART points of interest semantic dataset. Of course, this is teamwork, so it's involving many different people from different organizations. Today, of course, I am giving the introduction from PSNC, but we have also other colleagues in other organizations that you can see. Just a few words before starting. This is supported by one of our ongoing projects, also mentioned by Arne at the beginning. It's called DataBio. So I will not take much of this because Arne will go into details later on. So I just want to say that this is also this is some work supported by this project. So what are the objectives of these working groups? As I said, regarding the SPOI dataset. So we had two main goals. One was to extend and improve the underlying model, I mean the ontology that is used to describe the points of interest in semantic format. And then we also wanted to enrich the knowledge base with links to additional relevant data sets. That was, let's say, the core of this working group. And we had some other ideas that we are working towards. One is standardization of the vocabulary, so that it can become a bit more general and used by other communities and other, let's say, scenarios and domains. And of course, we want also to identify use cases for demonstrating the potential of SPOI. So SPOI started several years ago, actually. So it's not that it started with these hackathons, but the initial state, at least when we started this hackathon, was it's a very large data set. It was already with over 27 million points of interest. That was the initial state when we started the hackathon. And in fact, we already made some like showcases and demonstrations how we can use these data sets in some real world scenarios. So here, for example, you can see the connection of SPOI with other data sets, for example, open land use, open transport map that I will talk a little bit in a moment, and how these can be visualized in a map in order to find interesting or relevant information, depending on the use cases, of course. So this is one example. This is another example that is more connected to the open transport map. We have also some other interfaces. For example, we can provide this information to the user in a more, let's say, simple way for them, like how to search for information, how to visualize it more easily. So we deployed some other technologies like MetaFactory, which allows us to do something like this. Here you can see, for example, the points of interest in a very small region of Prague. And then if you click on some of them, you can get information, detailed information about these points. Of course, you can also have direct access to the data sets via the Sparkle endpoint that is available for SPOI. So if you are aware and you know how to write some Sparkle queries, you are more than welcome to use it. This is an open Sparkle endpoint and very powerful that you can actually do many types of query and retrieve many information connected with the other data sets that we have in this triple store. This also triple store also provides some faceted search browser that is another user interface for the navigation of the data in SPOI, for example. So at the beginning of the hackathon, the SPOI data set was using an ontology that was defining only a class hierarchy. There was no definition of properties or relations or any other type of constraint. And in fact, the class hierarchy was just coming from, let's say, some simple classifications that you can see over there from OpenStreetMap and Waze, actually, at least part of them. And the dataset itself was having some links already, especially using the properties like same as, see also, SF within, and exact match. And it was connected to mainly linked geodata and Wikidata. Some, of course, see also were also pointing to places in Wikipedia, or the if within was also connecting to geonames, for example. But that was it. That was the set of connections available and the ontology that was at the beginning. So what we started to do regarding the ontology was to see the potential linking of the classes to well-known vocabularies and knowledge bases. So we use different resources like schema.org, Wikipedia, Eurovoc, Gemet, and Agrovoc that are very well known and very important, especially in the area of agriculture and also for some types of generic knowledge bases like Wikipedia, of course. But we started to find some kind of connections between these resources and the classes defined in the SPOI ontology. The idea is at the end to make this ontology much more interoperable with other existing datasets. And these other existing datasets are using many times those kind of concepts, so that it's important to have this connection. Then we also started to see the properties in SPOI. We reuse well-known vocabularies for properties, so properties from RDFS, from OWL, from FOA, from Dublin Core, from the location ontology, from GeoSparkle. But also in the dataset, we define some non-standard properties that are very specific to the definition of points of interest. So what we did is to start also to defining these properties explicitly in the ontology, first of all, and then making connections also to these well-known vocabularies and knowledge bases like schema.org and DBpedia. And that was it with respect to the enrichment of the ontology. But the ontology can easily be extended with additional modules. For example, in order to specify annotations, you can use the recommended Mutu ontology that allows users to add some kind of annotations like tags. This is very useful and very well described ontology for the specification and definition of tags related to some particular resource. And also there is ontologies like the review vocabulary, RDF review vocabulary, that allows us to define user information like ratings, comments, etc. So this can be easily, let's say, used, these vocabularies to as a module extending SPOI. Okay, so then we started with the dataset itself. A new version was released in July with an increased number of points of interest. So from 27 million, now we have more than 30 million points of interest. And this is, very draft visualization of the types of the points of interest that you can have in SPOI. So you can see, of course, we have a lot of information regarding new natural features, but there is also very large information about transportation, or there is information about the lodgings, restaurants, place of workshops. There are many, many different types of places that are classified in SPOI. So we started to see the linking with other datasets. First, we took into consideration geospatial related datasets. So I mentioned already the open land use and open transport map. We previously transformed this into linked data, and we have already integrated them with SPOI via some GeoSparkle queries, as I show you in these demo applications. We also have Corin and Urban Atlas already transformed to linked data that can be as well integrated via GeoSparkle queries. NATS is also a very important data set. This is already available as linked data and provides information about all the regions and places. So it's very important, and I would say standard in the sense that it provides information regarding all of the NUTS regions. And so we just loaded this into our triple storage in order to make the connection in querying via GeoSparkle connecting to SPOI and other datasets in our triple store. Now we are missing still some important datasets like the natural earth. This is something in the to-do list still. And then we have something important for us was the reviews and rating information. We evaluated different datasets like review.com or tourpedia.org, but it was impossible at the end to get something useful from that. I mean, the first one was not active. It was having very quite limited and all data. And the second one is not really available as RDF for download. So at the end, we were able to find the information from Yelp.com. This provides a very large data sets with reviews and rating of different points of interest. The only point or the only note is that this is for academic purposes, but we are using this for showcasing and of course, and we will see then if some commercial applications comes up, how we can find some kind of collaboration with YELP. So we took these data sets that are made available by YELP, and we transform and publish as linked data. And then the connection with SPOI is via GeoSparQL. We are now creating some interesting queries based on use cases. So this is an ongoing work. Well, regarding statistics also, this is an important types of data that we wanted to link. We started with the Farm Accountancy Data Network database that gathers data from farms for the determination of incomes and business analysis of agricultural holdings. It's very important and very, let's say, relevant data sets for agriculture in Europe. So we transform these also and publish as linked data, and are as well making the connection via GeoSparQL query on the way. We identified Eurostat. Of course, Eurostat is a huge data set, but we are not planning to use all of it. In the past, it was available as linked data. Now, from several months, I would say even a year, it's not available as linked data anymore. So the transformation is possible still. I mean, you can download the data, you can transform it as linked data. And that's what we are planning to do with some particular data sets that are related to tourism and points of interest, like crimes per region, tourism statistics, capacity of accommodations, etc. And other that we are having in the queue is connections with some climate data. And so just a few words to say about the transformation that we carry out. For the YELP dataset, we started with some JSON files. And as you see on the left side of this slide, these are the general steps of linked data publication. So we start with some identification. In this case was YELP, that is available as JSON file. So we started with the definition of the model. In this case, we extended SPOI ontology in order to include all the concepts necessary and properties necessary to represent the data in YELP. Then we started the generation of the RDF and making the links, as I was saying. With FADN was a bit different. We started with CSV files, and we use as a model the very well-known and popular RDF data cube and related vocabularies. And these are the overview of the technologies that we used. We use RML processor for making the transformation. This requires mappings to be done using, of course, also RDF. So the most important part of the transformation is the mapping generation. And this comes either from JSON or from CSV or from relational databases. This is, at the end, some specification that you have to do in RDF. And then, of course, we use SPOI ontology, RDF, data cube vocabularies. We use Virtuoso as our triple store, Silk for discovery of links that I mentioned at the beginning, SparkQuery, of course, for the querying, and then we use for the visualization HS layer and Meta Factory. So our next steps are to finalize the linking of SPOI with the missing data sets like Natural Earth, Eurostat, climate data, define more interesting use cases. That this is something that we are all the time searching for interesting ideas, how to showcase the potential of SPOI. So once we define the use cases, we build the GeoSparQuel queries, and then we build some customized user interfaces. We need to continue our works toward the standardization of SPOI, the ontology in the dataset. And we are still thinking on how we can reuse this data set in some potential commercial applications. That is also part of our ongoing work. That is a bit more of a real exploitation of SPOI. So that's it from my side. If you have some question, please write on the chat or just contact me via email later on.
Yes, thank you so much, Raul. I think I hear an echo and then unshare the screen, maybe. Can you do that? Yes. And your camera. Thank you. So if I understood you correctly, Raul, so you described a whole number of different API during your presentation now, right? that you are getting data in many different ways for your points of interest?
There are two ways of enriching the SPOI, actually. I mean, I am addressing mainly the parts of enriching through the linking, using linked data as the connection. There's, of course, the possibility to enrich SPOI, the original SPOI, through the, let's say, connection via APIs to other potential sources that are available via some API. This is some other, let's say, parallel work that is being carried out by our colleagues as well from Czech, that they are working mainly with the APIs. I was mostly focusing on the part of enriching via linked data.
Linked data, okay. So that's another strategy for combining, enriching the data, as you say.
Yeah.
Okay, so this project that you describe right now is one of the teams, or maybe representing several of the teams that have registered for this INSPIRE Hackathon?
Yes.
And yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
we have the other team working with the APIs actually registered also as another team in the hackathon.
Right.
Yeah, in the hackathon.
Right. So, and so this work needs to be seen. Well, what we are doing here is to see this work in the context of the INSPIRE Hackathon, and it's an example. What you presented is an interesting and inspiring example of what you can do with data using different types of technology. And Karel, maybe you can now introduce the INSPIRE Hackathon concept, so that we put this example in a context.
Okay, thanks. I will switch to my presentation.
Yes, so we will learn.
Okay, so do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do, Karel.
Okay, so what is INSPIRE Hackathon? Why we are doing and organizing this INSPIRE Hackathon? What you can expect? What you can expecting from this hackathon, and how you have to join our hackathon, and also Plan4All. I mentioned in the beginning that I have long experiences working with European project. I am doing this from 99. I participate in I think more than 50 European projects in this period, and what I recognize in many cases, not in all of course, but in many cases after end of the project, you can see 1 year, 2 years that portal is running, or some data are available. Nobody is caring about this data, and then it disappears and it's never used again. And there are coming new projects solving similar problems, starting to collect the same data as was already one time done, losing the time with this, because if they would be able to continue with the data which already exists, it will be much faster, and very often situation is repeating. So at the beginning, we decided to establish Plan4All association, and this Plan4All association took responsibility for 3 data sets, which was done from previous project. You heard about smart point of interest. Raul also mentioned open land use, and there is open transport net. And then we start to thinking what we can do with this data, and how we can bring this data to other community. And we start thinking about the concept of some hackathon and concept connected existing project with the past project and future project and help to the people work together. So INSPIRE Hackathon is not so much focused as normal hackathons on young people and students, but it is focus on cooperation of expert and project. Of course, young people, students are not excluded. And as you can see, the community who is cooperating with us and helping is growing. And I hope that in future INSPIRE Hackathon, there will be not enough place for all logos, or we will need to put the logos smaller. The history of INSPIRE Hackathon started 2 years ago in Barcelona, but already before we ran a number of hackathons, but in Barcelona we came first time with the idea of INSPIRE Hackathon, and we cooperate with the number of projects in the area of Citizens Observatory. And this first hackathon was organized as standard hackathon where people met on INSPIRE conference and provided hacking during this INSPIRE conference. What we recognize that not for all people is possible to go to the INSPIRE conference, and we start to thinking about new concept. I mentioned that we are focused on cooperation of the project, and we start to thinking about how to do this as something continuous and how to build some process. So now we can say that INSPIRE Hackathon is not event, it is a process. And we are organizing every year on INSPIRE conferences this INSPIRE Hackathon, but we are also organizing a number of satellite hackathon meantime, and we are trying to build community around and to guarantee some sustainability of activities and projects which start on one hackathon and which could be bring to other, and bringing this result to the community. So we are working continuously, and also because for bigger project it's difficult to do something in 1 or 2 days, we are organizing hackathon sites that the main part of hackathon is offline. We are or not online, but not offline, but we are putting team together, virtual team. This team are working 1 or 2 months before hackathon and before INSPIRE conference or other, and then on INSPIRE conference is placed to present the result, but also for people who are able to come to meet together. But for people who are not able to come, we are organizing a virtual presentation. So INSPIRE conference is used as platform, but I have to say that we are not strictly focused on INSPIRE regulation. We are trying to involve also other type of activities. For example, agriculture is not included directly in INSPIRE, and we are doing a lot about agriculture during INSPIRE conferences. And INSPIRE is European directive, but we are not focused only on Europe, but we are also working outside of Europe. You can see here one from the previous project. It is open land use for Africa, which started last year. You can see that not all Africa is still now covered. So we hope that there will be chance for the team to continue to find some other partner and to cover with harmonized open land use for Africa, because we see this as very important to have such data for Africa. And I believe that when we will finish with Africa, we can move to South America or China or Asia or other part to have on the end coverage of land use around all world. So now I will tell you how to participate. You can see here the link for INSPIRE Hackathon on our web portal, and on this link you can find already existing projects. I am happy that we have this year already 15 registered projects. I think that in my history it is the biggest number of projects, and I hope that some more projects eventually could come for this. So you can see here the list of the project, and you can or contact people from this project and try to cooperate with some existing project, or you can introduce your new own project. We have also a list of APIs from different partners. You can go to this table and you can see which API are available. It could be API for data or software API, and you can decide, okay, this looks for me interesting and I will try to do something with this. You can also put your own API to our repository, and other people will have chance to test it your API and use their API in their project. If you would like to participate, you have at first registered yourself on our portal, and then you will have access to working space where you can look on existing projects, edit eventually information in existing projects, or you can introduce your own project for hackathon, and we will promote this your projects on Plan4All portal, and also we will promote these projects on different social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So this is shortly all about INSPIRE Hack and how to participate. And if there will be some question, you can make this question now, or you can contact me. You can contact me later, and I can explain you more, or I will answer your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karel. It's certainly a very active group already engaged in the INSPIRE Hackathon, and we see already some examples of collaboration across different Horizon 2020 project, which is one of the goals of our hackathon, and also the use of APIs. So the APIs is the sort of the thread, the common thread and the theme for this year's hackathon. And we just learned about an alternative way of accessing data, the smart points of interest represented by Raul. But there's a wealth of data out there that can be accessed with different types of APIs. And as you said, Karel, the testing and to check how it works and to identify gaps on, is it possible to access the data or not in real life when you're building your applications or service. So I think that this is an introduction to you then, Arne, because you will present some more resources, data resources that we can test if we can access through APIs. So Arne, are you ready to share your information?
Yes, thank you, Bente. So I'll present some of the data and other resources from the DataBio project. So I will set that up now. Here. And then I'll show it in full screen, so it's easier to see. Okay, so now you should see the full screen presentation. Yes. And as I said, this is about some of the resources from the DataBio projects, particularly on data sets, but also on components, and in general a bit of the resources. Probably like first to start with the GEOSS portal, which is the global international source of finding relevant geo information in terms of data sets and also other resources. And this is a continuously filled up registry, and one of the main sources. There are also others, but this is one we are relating to and will be encouraging to use also to find the resources for the hackathon in relevant areas. From the DataBio project, we have also resources to offer. The DataBio project is big data on bioeconomy, and is focusing on agriculture, but also on forestry and fishery. And in that context is demonstrating a number of pilots with the use of available data sets, as well as a set of components put together in pipelines. See a few of the components groups listed according to the BDVA, the Big Data Value Association reference model, and the different areas in the big data platform. So there are resources in all of these areas that is offered. And the way the project has been run is to demonstrate pilots in a number of areas. So 20-something pilots here that is using data sets and components. Particular also Earth observation data sets and Earth observation components, as we see that is a very important and useful area to bring in to combine with other type of information. So there is a lot of examples here from all of the pilots that is available on the DataBio website. And then there are also a lot of components that can be used by other activities, teams and projects. We have a DataBio hub, I'll show you, that has all of these components and data sets documented. And there are also examples of use of those in pipelines for pilot demonstrations. We have been relating the work we do to the Big Data Value Association's reference model that you see here. If you want to read more about that, you can look at SRIA, the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda of the Big Data Value Association. And you'll find that on the BDVA website. This introduces this reference model, and we see that there is a number of areas that are relevant here for an overall big data and analytics platform. There's also a more refined version of this that shows some of the details, and also how the area of AI platforms, as well as the area of data sharing platforms, is being covered by some of the technical sub areas here. And in the DataBio project, this is being focused on then for agriculture, but also for forestry and fishery. And for the hackathon, we envisage also to support teams in those three areas. So that's the foundation. We have the DataBio hub, which contains more direct information about all of the components and all of the data sets. So when one goes into the DataBio hub, it's possible to browse the data sets, browse the components, browse the pipelines and the pilots, and then to potentially use some of that for new projects and activities in the future. So looking at the data sets, we also include references to the Earth observation data sets with examples that we have been using, the Sentinel data, we have the open transport being used, the forest resource data, and also a number of other data sets. Here's a little overview of the different data sets and their names and their codes we have in the system. So they can be considered relevant, also including the Smart Point of Interest data sets here as an example. So these are available for potential use and at least with directions on how to use it and examples also that can be useful for future projects and also for the teams in the hackathon in particular. In addition to this, there is a number of components that is available in terms of services that can be used and also with associated APIs. Can also be found in the DataBio hub. That includes also analytics, such as the neural network suite for image processing, and also other application level components such as farm weather insurance and others related to the pilots and pipelines. Karel mentioned the API collection that will also be supported for the hackathon. So here is a little part of this list, and you see the web reference here. And as mentioned, we do welcome additional APIs into this list. So there is a form just to fill in, and we will be able to make access to other relevant APIs in that context. Just some of the components and tools that are relevant for data management and data set manipulation. We have the OpenMika tool for metadata management. It's partly related to what Raul talked about earlier, because it's based on integrating data from different sources using the OGC standards, harmonizing that with the INSPIRE OGC ISO TC211 standards, but adding also semantic web technology services around this to have a unified approach for metadata management. So that's an ongoing activity that can be related to. We are also basing in the agriculture area the work on the foodie ontology from the Farm-Oriented Open Data in Europe project that has recently finished. But we see that this ontology is useful in many areas and can be adapted also in forestry and fishery with other focus areas and then the farm aspect. But there is a general approach here that is relevant, and we're promoting and supporting the use of this. Further, the components I mentioned can be put together in different pipelines in teams, and here's an example in one of the pilot projects where you see basically the numbers of the components on the right here. So this is one of the fishery pilots and pipelines, and you see where each component and also including the data sets are in the overall reference model and architecture. So there's a lot of working examples here that hopefully can provide inspiration for hackathon teams and also foundation of reusable components and data sets that is being made available. So there is a 26 number here of examples of this being brought together for useful pilots, and that's also available in the DataBio hub for those who would like to get some inspiration from that. Finally, we also describe the pipelines of the pilots because they are generic pipelines such as on metadata, linked data, and graph data. We have a demonstration on machinery management and some other components involved, but for all of these there is a generalization here of the pipelines that can be useful for other teams and other activities and future projects. So that's basically my presentation with input that hopefully can be interesting and reusable for some of the teams on the hackathon event. So thank you. Any questions we can take now in the next session?
Yeah, thank you so much, Arne. That was really useful. I'm sure that several of the existing teams in the INSPIRE Hackathon can make use of some of the material that you presented. I know for sure that one of them is going to check this out more closely. So is there any comments from the rest of the presenters here and questions to Arne directly?
No, I think nothing from me.
No. Raul, you're fine?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. We're
sharing the same the same knowledge.
The same knowledge, exactly. And I think that in itself, you know, we already see that the INSPIRE Hackathon is working with respect to having different projects work together. And I will also use the opportunity to underline that this is actually an open invitation to all the community, not only in Europe, but also around the world. I mean, this is really, really an open hackathon. If you're interested in some of the topics you heard about, or if you're interested in the APIs and the use of APIs in different contexts, and I think this particular webinar is meant to showcase, you know, a bit of a variation, so how you can use it and what we have of material and yeah, APIs and other information that you can use. Even software. Arne, you mentioned that you even have APIs to software openly available, I assume. Is that right?
Yeah, so we have the various components. It's not like everything is open source, but it's accessible with different variations of licenses. So depending on the situation, that can be discussed.
Yeah. So in general, what we want also, so the general theme of this hackathon is related to APIs, but applied in many societal applications. But the API is the common thread, and I learned from JRC, so the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, that they are generally interested in all sorts of experiences with the use of APIs. So, for instance, if you see something here presented here, or if you look into the themes already there and you get an idea, you would like to have this and that data set, and then you go in and try to find it, and you don't find an API to use it, you know, to access the data. That information is also very valuable. So you don't have to know that you can get the data and access the data beforehand. You can participate and contribute with very valuable information for the entire community by just experimenting to find out, you know, the how the APIs are working or not working. So this is the second webinar in this second batch of webinars. We have 2 more webinars immediately, so we have 2 more tomorrow. So you will learn about security. Security is a special topic. We have a special prize for security applications. And you know that security is often based on not open data for obvious reasons. But in this case, those who are working with security, they will like to see if open data and open source can add value to different security aspects. So I will encourage you to join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock, so same time as today, and learn more about that. You will also, at the same webinar, learn more about CCAN. We heard yesterday that the European Data Portal, they are based on CCAN. They are using CCAN, and there are several databases around in the world that are using CCAN. So you will learn more about that if you're interested in that tomorrow. And then at 2 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, we will present yet another group of teams that have registered for the INSPIRE Hackathon already. And the reason why we want to share that with you is that we want you to get creative by either joining one of these teams or form your own team. So give you an example of how you can use this INSPIRE Hackathon framework to do some interesting work. You will definitely meet a lot of interesting, knowledgeable experts of all ages, Karel. Not only the older generation, but also young ones can actually be experts, just to underline that. But it is, like you said, we are sort of creating our community with people that are working on making data work together, namely the slogan for this year's INSPIRE conference. So that was the 2 more webinars in this batch. We have 2.5 weeks left of hacking time, so you still have plenty of time to work on your project. If you want to enhance your knowledge, we also have this opportunity. You also have this opportunity for a face-to-face training. One of the partners, co-organizers of this hackathon is Next GEOSS project. And we are offering the free training just the day before the Euro GEOSS workshop in Geneva. So on the 11th of September, if you have the time and possibility, we highly recommend that you sign up and make use of this free training, face-to-face training. It will it can easily be combined with the work you do here in the INSPIRE Hackathon, because you can get some extra training and speed up your work a little bit. So we figure it's a win-win-win situation that we offer there. And I think that's it for me. Do you have any other comments, some experiences, something you want to add before we leave? Karel, you normally have the last word.
As in every day, I am inviting you not only for hackathon, but you can also join our network Plan4All and help us to extend our activity in your countries, your region. We have members already outside of Europe, and we would like to extend our activity outside of Europe. You can also contact us and start discussing with us to organize some satellite hackathon together with your events or in your places, because this is the idea to move this INSPIRE Hackathon into different places, into different community, and put people together.
Absolutely. Good point. Raul, anything to add? You've been participating in at least 2 of the INSPIRE Hackathons, maybe more.
Yeah, maybe more, like 3, I suppose, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am always happy and to find new potential collaborations with people and that have some shared interest with the type of work that we are doing in, of course, in the context of ongoing projects, but also not necessarily connected to the work in the project.
No, so both existing and new ideas is something of interest. Yeah. And Arne, do you have any additional comments or information you want to share?
Well, I think I would like to just restate the invitation now to take a look at the 15 teams that we have and their project ideas. It's a possibility to join any of those 15 teams or to propose additional teams and project ideas. And note that this is an hackathon that basically goes on now for the next 2.5 weeks. And the presentations we'll have on the 19th of September will basically be the summary of the results. So you don't necessarily have to be physically in the Antwerp meeting for that, because you'll also organize this as a remote participation, which will make it much more easy for people that are not able to travel to this meeting or have time on that particular day to be involved in the process. So take a look at the opportunities there, and we hope to have more of you involved in the coming weeks.
Absolutely, a good point too. And for those of you who are not aware of it, so the INSPIRE Hackathon itself, the INSPIRE conference takes place in Antwerp in Belgium from the 18th to the 21st of September. Our reporting period is on the 19th of September. And then so all the teams will report their results. Either they are in person there at the INSPIRE conference and at the INSPIRE Hackathon face-to-face version, or like you said, you can do it remotely. You can present your work also remotely. We will facilitate that during the face-to-face INSPIRE Hackathon. Now, we also have a second meeting place or a workshop where we will summarize the results from the INSPIRE Hackathons and talk about different aspects. So that will be on Friday, the 21st in Antwerp. So you see that another motivation maybe for you to join this work is that it's easy, it's a low threshold. You can decide how much you want to participate. And Arne, you're absolutely right. The easiest way is to join one of the teams. So you identify your interest and see if, and you are welcome. This community is really welcoming all of you, and we mean it. So don't hesitate to contact one of the ones that you want to contact. The information will be available on the Plan4All Hackathon 2018 page. So that's where you will find the information. And then you can also, of course, sign up. Karel showed you the forms that you can sign up and describe your own team. So please join us in this community. If you are anything close to interested in these topics that we have been talking about, you are more than welcome to join us in whatever way that you see that you can afford. So with that, I thank you so much for your excellent presentations. I always enjoy learning from you, the expert in this community. And until the next time, see you hopefully tomorrow already. So bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.